to another episode of Recruitment in the Spotlight. This is a forum to give you great information and insight on your journey of becoming a firefighter. I'm Yvonne De La Pena, the Cal-JAC Executive Director and your host. Tonight, we invited Kelsey Westfall, a 2018 Cal-JAC EMT Academy graduate who went on to become a Sacramento City firefighter in 2019. Kelsey will share how her experiences in the Cal-JAC Academy prepared her for not only passing the EMT testing process, but how it prepared her for the Fire Department Academy and on the job as a firefighter. We also have Cal-JAC Academy Director and retired Sacramento Metro Fire Captain Robert Bruce with us here today. Captain Bruce will give you tips and advice on how to successfully get through the Academy. Cal-JAC. Who are we? We're the California Firefighter Joint Apprenticeship Committee, and we're the sponsor of the EMT Academy and the Firefighter Candidate Testing Centers. Before we get into our discussion, we want to show you a short video on the history and the experience of our first two Cal-JAC Academies. Let's take a look. The Cal-JAC really felt it was necessary to start a pre-apprenticeship program so that we can get in on the ground floor with the candidates, those who are going to be on the statewide eligibility list. And so over the past 2 years, we've offered 2 pre-apprenticeship training programs for EMT. Our first class we did by obtaining grant funds through the Chancellor's office. We partnered with Sac City Fire Department. We had support from the mayor and the city council. This grant required you had these partnerships from the community around you.
This has been a dream that is well over 25 years in the making, that the fire service is actually putting boots on the ground to begin an apprenticeship program that helps our workforce reflect the neighborhoods that we work in.
Cal-JAC Academy is a 6-month academy that takes individuals that normally wouldn't have a pathway into the fire service.
It's for those who are economically disadvantaged, and they have the ability to come into a tuition-free class.
There are aspects of this process that are prohibitive, like taking classes that are during the day when I'll be at work, or cost of uniforms, materials. I know that some individuals need help with childcare. It really makes this program accessible.
I didn't know what quite to expect, except for what I read online about it. But when we went in and we had our uniform issued and first day, it was definitely eye-opening.
From day one, everything we do is to prepare them for a successful career in the fire service. We introduce pride in everything they do. Attention to detail is a must in this fire academy.
We really want them to understand the fire service culture, and we do that by making them be in uniforms, make them have protocols.
Part of the academy and the successful completion is them passing the CPAT. So PT is a very important element throughout the academy. We preach crew. Everything they do is about their partners, and everywhere they go, they have to be with a partner.
We worked together, we really bonded, had known none of them beforehand, and then to come together in the 6 months that we just went through it all.
You know, one test at a time, try to knock it down, prepare, study for it, and keep knocking. And you know, if I want to be in this academy and I put myself forward, I don't want to quit.
I think the Cal-JAC Academy has helped me taking the first step by really showing me what it is I'm getting into. Working with the fire instructors, you get a much deeper understanding as to what the life is like and what the day-to-day and how that affects your family.
Aside from the education they're getting, the physical ability, the PT that they're getting, they also get soft skills, how to write their resume, how to do oral interviews. All of these things are to make them a well-rounded candidate.
Our main focus is definitely getting them certified through the National Registry for Emergency Medical Technician. Saturdays, we set up our skill stations, and we have firefighters from throughout the area to come in.
I was able to teach them skills they're going to use in the field as EMTs. So if somebody was to get into a car accident, you want to be able to make sure that the students had the skills to be able to hold the cervical spine. You wanted to make sure they could package wounds appropriately. Another skill we taught was just how to give somebody oxygen.
I remember an instructor who told me, be the responder that you wish to show up at your doorstep. That was something that I couldn't quite grasp and understand, until I did my first ride-along. Everything that we did, everything that we were taught, and all the tools that we were given was to prepare us what was going to happen when we do respond to a call.
We were trying to look for funding for the second class. The Republican caucus came to us, and specifically Assemblyman Flora. He was really excited to author a bill and to help support another class.
This is an industry that I'm incredibly passionate about in so many different aspects, and I want our community to understand the joy that I have gotten from the fire service. And so to be able to author this bill with the support of CPF and all of their help to push this thing forward and represent Cal-JAC pre-apprenticeship programs, it was an incredibly powerful thing for a young legislator to do.
The Academy graduation, it's kind of the pinnacle of the hard work that the cadets have put in to make them successful.
I have felt very connected to the students in this academy, and watching them graduate was like watching my own son and daughter graduate from, college. It was just a great feeling.
The amount of work that this took and the amount of dedication that these young people had to get through this program, it's really, really quite special.
I was pretty lost 6 months ago. I needed a clear direction. I knew what I wanted, but I just wasn't sure how to go about it. So I feel really lucky that I found this academy and that this academy chose me.
It's all coming to an end, but to a start as well, Everything's just beginning.
I am so honored to be here today with you, celebrating this accomplishment of these capable cadets. And I would like the class to give their families a round of applause, because without the support of the families, this could not be accomplished.
To be able to graduate today has really brought up my spirits and made my whole year, to be honest. Everything that we have all done here as a class, I'm going to remember for the rest of my life.
I want to thank the Cal-JAC Academy for giving me the opportunity. They put in time, dedication, effort to really help mold me from an average citizen to a standout recruit.
Being a part of this academy has been extremely rewarding. We have already seen successful graduates move into area fire departments, and we have a number that are currently on probation.
We had 4 18-1 graduates that have recently been hired by the Sacramento Fire Department. They graduated this past summer of 2019. We actually made history. Julie Vang was the first Hmong female ever hired by the fire department.
It feels surreal. Like a year ago, I graduated from the Cal-JAC Academy here at Crest Theater, and a little over a year now, I'm a probationary firefighter.
About a month or so ago, I worked alongside one of those former students that's now my coworker. Just to see them out in the field makes me feel great, to know that they started off one day as just a civilian and now they're a sworn firefighter.
Without Cal-JAC, I wouldn't have been introduced to the Sacramento Fire Department. I got to work with Sac City personnel as a Cal-JAC student. It really gave me a foot in the door, and I truly believe that, it was a stepping stone to get me here tonight.
Firefighter Westfall will be assigned to the A shift, Engine 7, Medic 15.
Wow, I love watching that video. It gives me goosebumps, because how does it, just look at you, how much you've changed. How does it feel? How does it feel to look back on that?
It's really awesome to watch that video, because it just brings up so many emotions, like the journey to get where I am today. For me, it actually happened pretty quickly, respectively. Like some people, it takes 10 years to get in the fire service. Right. And for me, it was a 3-year process, but I feel like I've grown and changed so much in that time that it's pretty emotional.
Yeah, it is emotional. It's like I look at that, but it is a process, and that's what we're talking about, is this pathway into the fire service. And there's so many ways to get into the fire service, and so the academy is one pathway. The candidates that you saw, Captain Bruce, that come through there, like Kelsey, you saw them transform into these individuals in a 6-month period of time. What do you think when you look back at that video and watch those?
Oh, just pride.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You made mention in the video where they kind of become your kids.
Yes.
And, as a parent, being the academy director, it was, you want them to be successful. That's the whole intent of this academy. And to see them come in day one kind of not really sure what the next step is and things like that, the academy just molds them and prepares them for that next step getting into the fire service. And to see Kelsey, remembering her the first night and standing up asking a few questions, and just see her transformation throughout the academy and where she is today, I mean, she is a perfect example of what this academy is all about. And we take these individuals that want to get into the fire service but may have some hurdles to get into the academy, and we take them and we introduce that whole mindset. And just to see where she's at today, it's an awesome, as somebody who, you know, directed the academy. I mean, it wasn't just me. We had a huge staff, and I'm sure that I'm speaking for them when I say we just couldn't be more proud of her and her fellow people who were successful with her in her same fire academy.
Yeah. We're your new parents now. We're proud of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about your journey and how the academy prepared you to be a firefighter that you are today.
Yeah, when I think back on my journey to becoming a firefighter, like Cal-JAC kickstarted everything for me. I was working in the nonprofit world at the time. I knew I wanted a little bit of a career change. I had no idea what direction I was going to take it. And randomly, I learned about the Cal-JAC Academy and applied, and that was literally my pathway to the fire service. It trained me to be an EMT, which is one of the minimum requirements to becoming a firefighter in California. It got me on the statewide eligibility list, which is where my department pulled my name from and hired me. And it guided me through the whole process. So I didn't have to go it alone. I did it with a bunch of friends and classmates who are now working beside me.
That's awesome. They actually, how many cadets from your class are you working with right now in Sacramento?
4 from my class, and then I believe 1 from another class just recently got hired.
That's great. That's great. So most importantly, we want to make sure to answer your questions. If you have questions throughout the show, type in the Q&A box. If we can't get to your questions live, we'll follow up with an answer after today's episode. Applications are open for the upcoming Cal-JAC EMT Academy, which will take place in the spring of 2022 in Los Angeles. To apply, visit caljacacademy.org. And in fact, I think we're going to go ahead and put that link into the chat box for you as well. So, I keep calling it Captain Bruce, and then I was going to say Bob. So, Bob, so talk a little bit about the cadets and the process that they went through to get into the academy. I know we have the application, and then we did an orientation that kind of gave them that overview of what the academy is going to be like. But the assessment was the next step. What did that entail, and why is that so important in the process?
Right. So again, everything that we did when we set up the academy was to prepare that individual to be successful as they try to get into the fire service. So we mirrored the application process for the fire service and all that. It was an online application type thing. We brought them in for orientation and kind of explained what this Cal-JAC Academy consisted of. You know, we reiterated the importance of the commitment that they were about to make to, it is very intensive and intense, I should say. And we wanted to make sure that they knew what they were getting into, and it wasn't something that they were going to be saying, well, I'll try it and see. We needed people committed to the success of the program, which was basically committing to the success of their new career. So at that point, we would bring them in just like most fire departments do. In the FCTC, the statewide eligibility, we have a written exam. And it basically is reading comprehension as well as math. Basic math, but also word problems and things like that. After that, we bring them in for an oral interview, which again is the next step to getting hired with a fire department. We have a panel, and we ask them questions about their knowledge of the fire service, but more importantly, just about their life and their life experiences. And a lot of the cadets out there, may not believe that they're ready for the fire service because they're not actually working in the fire service. Right. And if that was the case, we wouldn't have a lot of applicants because you have to start somewhere. Exactly. So when we talk about life experience, we talk about customer service, and there's so many avenues of customer service and just in your normal everyday job that they may actually have. So as a panel, we sit and we just talk to them and get to know them, and we want to really gauge how well they're going to fit into the program and their commitment level and all those things. Then after that, that's where the staff kind of stepped in and offered them a position in the academy, and we were off and running.
So there's multiple steps here, there's 4, but the very first step is the application. We spoke to one of our cadets who graduated, I believe, 19-1 Academy, Christopher Michael. He's now a probationary firefighter with Sac City. Why don't we hear the clip from Christopher Michael and about the application process?
My advice in applying for the academy is just apply and just do it, because that's the biggest obstacle, I think, is getting your foot in the door and making yourself work hard and work to be successful. So if you're having any reservations, I'd just say just apply and do it, because it changed my life. I mean, I honestly do not think I would be with the City of Sacramento Fire Department if it was not for the Cal-JAC Academy.
That's great. What did he say? Just apply, So that's really what the hardest part is applying and getting that application in there. And so we encourage all of you to do that. So be sure to send us your questions in the chat box. And so do we have a couple questions, Courtney, that maybe we can take?
Yes, we do. Thank you. Actually, a few people, Jonathan, Ray, and Renee, would all like to know, are there any age restrictions?
So to be considered for the Cal-JAC Academy, you have to be 18 or over, and there's no maximum age. So as long as you're 18 by the start of class, which is January 11th, 2022, you must be 18.
Thank you. Our next question is from George Ramos. He would like to know, do you have to live in the Los Angeles area to be eligible to apply?
You don't. And you didn't live in Sacramento, did you?
No. At the time of the academy, I was in Nevada City.
Nevada City? Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So a little bit of a commute.
So yeah, you don't have to live in the LA area. You do have to be able to get to class 3 days a week. So that's probably the most difficult part. We do reimburse mileage, though, a portion of your mileage. So there are some travel costs that come with that. Was that helpful to you?
Absolutely helpful. It made a huge difference. It was a lot of miles, a few times a week, and that really helped to make it more accessible.
Great. Any other questions, Courtney?
Yeah, our next question is from Maxwell. He would like to know, what are the prerequisites to meet the application requirements?
The prerequisites. So I think we talk about that in a little bit later in the program, but I know you have to attend a mandatory orientation. You have to pass the assessment. You must be 18 years or older. I'm going to have to refer to my list here.
Background.
You have to have a high school diploma or GED, a valid driver's license, and you have to be legally able to work in the United States. So that's all the criteria we have, and you have to meet economic need, and the details on what that threshold for economic need is on our website. So if that website that the staff put into the chat box, just go right there under frequently asked questions. We have outlined what the economic need requirement is. So those are the requirements to get into the program. So Kelsey, tell me a little bit about how your journey, now that you're in the fire service, how it mirrored a little bit of what the academy was like. Is there any similarities?
There are so many similarities, and the Cal-JAC Academy absolutely prepared me to go through the fire academy in so many aspects. The fact that it is organized in a paramilitary fashion, so you have the chain of command in the Cal-JAC Academy, you have people that you report to who report to our leadership. That's exactly how the fire service works. the rigor of the Cal-JAC Academy mirrors the Fire Academy as well, in that you are going home and doing reading every night. You're getting ready for weekly tests.
You never stop studying.
You never stop studying.
So you get those study habits in the academy because you're going to need them when you get to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also the physical fitness aspect of the Cal-JAC Academy was really important, first of all, just to get us all in shape, but physical fitness is a huge component of the Fire Academy, and then just a lifelong career as a healthy firefighter is a very physical job, and you have to keep yourself fit so you can stay healthy and stay on the job.
Yeah, great advice. So all of you out there who are watching this, you can do this. I know it takes a lot of hard work and commitment, but like we said, the application process is the first step towards your goal of walking across the stage, getting pinned, and hearing your shift assignment like Kelsey did. In fact, let's hear from Christopher Michael again and listen to him talk a little bit about the interview process.
The Cal-JAC Academy helped me with the interview process because even from first applying, being in front of 3 people at a conference table and kind of having that intimidation factor, that's real life. And then once you're in the academy, the kind of prep that they give for interviews, they had a segment of the academy that was strictly preparing you for interviews in the fire service. And so going over PowerPoints on what you wear, you know, the details of what you wear, like I was saying, like a suit, making sure it matches, because the people interviewing you are looking for those details, and if you're paying attention to those details. And then I'd just say just being sincere in your responses, preparing for the department that you're interviewing for, knowing their locations, what services they provide, their special abilities that they carry in their departments, and then being yourself and being honest and trying to portray your core values, I think is something that will get you hired.
Good advice. I think the oral interview process really is, an important part, not only to get into the Cal-JAC Academy, but to get a job in the fire service. And the more practice you get, the better you get at it. Talk a little bit, Bob, about the oral interview process and how you prepared the cadets in our academy to get ready for that first interview.
Yeah, absolutely. The academy is not just EMT. I mean, again, it is it encompasses so many aspects of just getting ready and being prepared, as you can probably attest to that interview. The interview is one of the key components to getting into the fire service. And if you think about it, you have about 15 or 20 minutes to answer a certain set number of questions that basically at the end of the interview, your panel is going to ask one question. Do I want to work with this individual for the next 30 years of my career? So we spend a lot of time in preparing, showing the cadets how to do research on the agency that they are preparing to interview for. We do mock interviews where we bring in fire chiefs and other fire personnel from the surrounding area. We'll bring them in and you'll sit in front of them and they will ask you questions and they will make you feel uncomfortable, because I can assure you it is uncomfortable when you sit there. And the more interviews you do, the more comfortable you feel about it. And that's where, again, how many times did you hear me say there's a method to the madness? And everything we do in the academy, we're just getting you ready for the job. So we teach you all the key, how eye contact, how to shake hands, what to wear. A lot of individuals may not even know what to wear. All these things are a part of the academy and they're key components to make them successful.
Right. So, to get back to some of the questions we've been hearing over the chat and stuff is just a little bit about the academy. So we did 2 academies. You had that history on that. The third academy we have funding for is going to be in LA City. So you can't go to another department to get this academy. Of course, individuals can get their EMT in other ways. But what's different about the EMT academy that we do versus what you'd get out of community college? Kelsey, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I just know that sometimes, especially for working people, it can be very difficult to go to a more traditional EMT academy because it's oftentimes during the day, multiple times a week, when some people are at the job working. And so the Cal-JAC Academy was specifically designed for working people and to work around the 9-to-5 schedule. So we came in 2 evenings a week and all day Saturday. And it really gives working people a way to get their EMT and still be able to provide for their families or provide for themselves in that manner.
Mm-hmm. And Captain Bruce, what other things do we do in the academy to help prepare them aside from the EMT curriculum, which is pretty strenuous?
It is.
Yes.
Very, very fast-paced. You know, on average, it's a minimum of 1 chapter per session. So sometimes there might be 1 or 2 depending upon the course length. Some things, and I'll just touch upon what Kelsey stated, the schedule. We specifically set the schedule to be after 5 o'clock. We understand that a lot of you are, you know, making money to put food on the table. We understand that. So we tailor our start times that will allow you to work, get home, see the kids, grab a quick bite, and then you're at the academy getting into that mode. So we start after 5 o'clock, typically 6 o'clock. Everything from when you get to the academy is pretty much paid for. We issue you uniforms, including boots, PT gear, all of those things that are going to be required for the actual academy. Office supplies, we purchase your textbooks, we give you binders with highlighters and pens and pencils, and everything you need is provided for you, okay? Mileage reimbursement, which was, you know, you living outside of the area, we understand that there's some commute that's involved, and we understand that that's costly, especially in today's economic, you know, with the fuel prices and so forth. So we have mileage reimbursement or a portion of it to help you kind of be able to make this commitment. We have childcare stipends that we offer. We know it's important that when you're at the academy, we want you focused on your success at the academy. We want your children to be safe, and we help you pay for those childcare individuals. Again, it is a very fast-paced academy. Sometimes during the lecture, you may not understand completely all the components of that. We offer tutoring sessions where we'll actually bring in lead instructors or our skills instructors that basically open up for a study hall. You come in, you ask questions, there's a Q&A. Maybe you need them to review some of the key components of what was covered last night or what's going to be covered the next evening. We basically want you to be successful. I don't know how many more times than I can say that. We are here because we want you to reach your goal, and that's to be a career firefighter. So we have tutors that are going to help you when you struggle. Totally voluntary. If you understand the chapters, you don't have to go, but it's just something extra that we want to offer to make you, again, successful. Once you get done with the EMT, you have to take the National Registry. There's a cost associated with that. The Academy picks that up, okay?
Did you pass the National Registry the first time?
I did, thank goodness.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a scary moment too because they cut you off at 70 questions, and that either means you did really well or you totally bombed it.
Oh my God.
And I got cut off at 70 and I passed.
That's great.
I'm very proud as a academy staff that both academies, every single cadet that took the test passed the NREMT on the very first attempt. And that is not easy to do. So I applaud all of their commitments and hard work, and it obviously paid off. Once you get done with that, you start thinking, okay, how do I get into the fire service now? I have all this knowledge and skills and training from the academy. Well, we help you with the FCTC, which is the statewide eligibility written test. All the things that we've done throughout the academy, we talk about mechanical advantages and all those things. It's all to prepare you for that test. We pick up that as well. And lastly, the CPAT. Kelsey, you made mention how important the PT program throughout the academy was. Part of the successful completion of the academy is the CPAT. And again, we pick that up for you. So as you're sitting here trying to figure out, do I really need to or do I want to get into the academy? Let me answer that question for you. Yes. Yes. There's no reason for you not to. All we need, we take care of everything. We just need your commitment. That's all we need. Right. So get online, sign up for that, sign up the application, get it in, and let your career start from that point. Please.
Gee, you're not a little excited about the academy, are you?
I'm sorry. I'm so passionate about the academy.
I know, it's great.
I'm passionate about the fire service. Is there a mileage if I want to teach down south? Will you guys pay for the mileage?
I know. I wish we could send you to LA.
Yeah.
So.
And I apologize. Honestly, this is not an act. Kelsey can, I'm sure, attest to this. I love the fire service, and part of my you can be called many things in the fire service, captain and all that, but I think the biggest thing, when you are called a mentor, that is the highest rank that you can have. And I preach that, be a mentor. And I talk to you about coming back and teaching academy members and just showing your success and how you can do it. And I'll wind down. I'll take it back.
Well, actually, we're going to talk about mentorship a little bit in the program. I want to remind everybody that applications for the Spring 2022 Cal-JAC Pre-Apprenticeship EMT Academy in Los Angeles are now live on our caljacacademy.org website. So, before we get into mentorship, why don't we take a few questions from our audience?
Thank you. Our next question is from Raphael. Raphael would like to know which fire departments have pathways from this program. Which departments would hire directly from the graduating class is what he's asking.
So we had a unique situation in Sacramento City because Sacramento City Fire Department made the commitment to interview every graduating candidate from our first two academies. So that didn't guarantee them a job, but it was a pathway. Every graduate is on our statewide eligibility list, as Captain Bruce mentioned and also Kelsey mentioned, and that list is used by over 100 fire departments throughout the state. So they're looking at that list, and we do indicate that you graduated from the Cal-JAC Academy when you're on that list. Currently, we're working with fire departments. Of course, we're working with LA City Fire Department, and the class is actually happening at Frank Hotchkiss Training Center, which is the training center for LA City Fire Department. And so they're a partner with us. And we have several other surrounding departments in the LA County area who utilize the statewide eligibility list and are very excited about this program and want to partner with us on that. So we're hoping that once you get on that list, you are now available to these departments to be looking at. So any other questions, Courtney?
Thank you, Yvonne. I think our next question would be good for Kelsey or Bob. Anonymous would like to know what kind of questions are asked in the interview panel?
Okay, well, let's ask Kelsey. What kind of questions did they ask you when you got your job with Sac City Fire Department?
I'm just laughing because I've had a few interviews, quite a few interviews since the Cal-JAC Academy interview. So I can't really speak to the specifics of the questions, but I can speak to how I prepared for the interview process. Which is an important part in the Cal-JAC Academy process, and then obviously an important part of getting a job as a firefighter as well. You're going to sit through a lot of panel interviews. And
you get better as you go, though, right?
Yeah, it gets easier as you go. It's not as daunting. So the Cal-JAC interview was pretty daunting for me. I think it was my first panel interview ever. But I spent a lot of time preparing for it, and for the most part, I just looked up on the internet questions that might be asked of a firefighter in an interview process because I knew that the Cal-JAC Academy was modeled after fire department hiring processes. And so I spent a lot of time poring over the kinds of questions that are asked in a firefighter interview, coming up with answers, and just spending time, you know, honing my interview skills. I sat down with friends and had them practice the interview process with me and ask me questions. I talked to my friends on the fire department and asked them what their interview process was like. So just doing the little things to prepare for the interview will make it so much easier when you sit down in the room and your nerves start working. And, you know, as long as you prepare for it and you come, you know, just with honesty and come as you are and just answer the questions honestly, and the little things, making eye contact and like Captain Bruce said, shaking everyone's hand and introducing yourself, and all of those little things just help you through the interview process.
Right. Great. Courtney, do you have any other questions for us?
Yeah, we're just going to do one last question right now. Renee would like to know, after passing the academy, can you choose to work at any fire department?
Absolutely. You can go anywhere you want to go. So once you get through the academy, you now have your EMT, your CPAT certification, your written test score. So you are good to go where you'd like to go. So there's no requirements to stay with any one department. So we talked a little bit about, you want to talk about more? Yeah, sure.
The previous question about what type of question, please know that we are not going to ask you specific fire department questions. Obviously, you're not trained for that and you wouldn't know the answers. What we want to know is more about you. And I think the key thing that you said is just be honest. Be honest. And a typical question might be, give us an example of a challenge that you had in your life and how did you overcome it? That's a typical question that we may ask you. And, you know, we just want to, everybody has challenges and we just want to know, how did you overcome it? Maybe you have difficulty in public speaking and you decided that you went to the local college and you took, you know, public speaking classes and things like that. You know, we will ask you, what do you know about the Cal-JAC Academy? And we hope that you have some knowledge. So take an opportunity to get online. There's frequently asked questions, all those things. That is education that's going to help you once you get into that oral interview, okay? So those are the typical questions that you're going to see. We're not going to ask you about specific fire because you're starting. You're at the very basics. So I just want to make sure that's clear for you guys.
Right, so great. Actually, that's very helpful tips. And I want to remind everybody to, you know, keep bringing your questions in. We're here to answer your questions, not only about the academy, but just the pathway into the fire service. As a reminder, the prerequisites to be eligible for the academy, you must demonstrate financial need. You must be at least 18 years or older. You must have a high school diploma or a GED, a valid driver's license, and you must be legally able to work in the United States. You will need to attend a mandatory orientation, pass an assessment measuring reading, math, and math skills. We will do a Department of Justice background check and drug screening. I know it seems like a lot, but this is it really emulates the real process for becoming a firefighter. So we're trying to put you through that process so that you understand what it's going to take to get a career in the fire service. So once again, to find out more on how to apply, go to caljacacademy.org/apply. So we talked a little bit about mentoring. Tell us, Captain Bruce, a little bit about the mentoring program that we do in the academy.
So mentoring, as I said, is a huge thing. And when we have the surrounding fire departments in the academy who are willing to allow us to send our cadets to basically get assigned to one of their firefighters, engineers, captains, whatever the case may be. And we basically put the two in contact and allow them to reach out, which is very uncomfortable, you know, reaching out, and they set up times where maybe they meet for coffee in the morning, or a lot of times they said, come on out to the station. And I think more times than not, that's what happens. And again, we teach you when you go to the fire station, perception's everything, and you get that one opportunity to meet those crews. So we want to make sure that you're dressed appropriately, you act appropriately, all those things. Again, we're going to prepare you for that first handshake, okay? But they go there and you're introduced to the life of a firefighter. They walk you through the station, they walk you through the station duties, they show you the equipment, and if that doesn't get you fired up for that next EMT test, I don't know what else we can do, okay? But many of the cadets that we've spoke to still have those, that relationship with their mentors that they met 2 or 3 years ago. So I think it's a very important and paramount part of the program that basically just motivates you. You're gonna be working so hard through halfway, and then all of a sudden we introduce that next component and you just sit there and you say, man, this is what it's all about. And usually they come back and they just are re-energized. They just, when's the next test? Let's get this thing done. So and you can speak more specifically about your mentor, but it is just a crucial component of this academy.
Kelsey, why don't you tell us about your mentor, and are you still in contact?
Absolutely.
Oh,
I
great.
see my mentor on the job all the time. He's been walking me through my next step in the fire service, which is to get my paramedic license next year.
Congratulations.
So he continues to be a mentor for me. And I was just laughing because I remember going to the station for my first visit with my mentor, and I was sick as a dog. Mind you, this is before COVID, so.
so you can still.
But I remember going around the station and shaking everyone's hand, and then I would take my handkerchief out of my pocket, and I was blowing my nose and sitting out in front of the station and going on calls, and I was super sick, and they said, you didn't have to come in. I said, but I didn't want to miss this moment.
Yeah.
It was the first time I'd ever stepped foot inside a fire station.
Really? That was the first time?
That was my first time, was with my mentor. And I was hooked. It was everything I imagined and more.
That's awesome.
And that was really the moment that it hit home, like, this is meant to be. This is my new career, and I'm so excited for it.
That's great. That's great. So you're still in contact with your mentor?
Still in contact with my mentor, yeah. And they were super helpful throughout the whole academy process. Like, it could be questions about the material. It could be things that I was having, trouble understanding from the reading, from the skills. But it could also be stuff outside of the academy process.
Right.
And just maybe the stress of going through the academy and working full-time at the same time, and life skills that I was building through the academy at the time. Like, he was just a sounding board.
Right.
So he made himself very available for any questions or conversations that I wanted to have. And that's truly what a mentor is, right? It doesn't just have to be about firefighting or about EMT stuff. It can just be life.
Actually, I think we have a clip from Christopher Michael, the probationary firefighter with Sac City, on mentoring. Let's go ahead and show that.
The instructors I met during the Cal-JAC Academy, I still have relationships with them to this day. I keep in contact with one of my instructors, Jack Wood, who works for the Sacramento Fire Department and was actually involved in the Sacramento City Fire Academy. And then Captain Robert Bruce was also very instrumental in helping me in my journey to become a firefighter. I didn't just come out of the Cal-JAC Academy and go straight to the fire service. I had to find a career in 911, and so being able to use the relationships here. So I worked for Metro for a little while, and so being in contact with Captain Bruce, he really helped me kind of pave the way to be where I'm at today. And then also the mentorship program that they set up here. My mentor is still helping me to this day because he was someone from the Sacramento City Fire Academy, and he's still showing me what it takes to be successful in this stage of my career throughout probation.
That's great. Captain Bruce, sounds like you had an impact on a lot of people as a mentor.
Well, I mean, that's what we're here for.
Exactly.
We got to try to make the fire service better, and we do that through generation to generation. And, it's not one of those things that when you get done with the academy, you lose contact.
Right.
I mean, I'm still in contact with many of the cadets, and they'll call just to check in. And maybe I've met a number of times. We did some oral board preparation for upcoming exams and things like that. So, you know, and sure you can speak to this. This is lifelong friendships that within 6 months, I mean, you know, it lasts a lifetime. And one of the things I want to talk about mentor, and this will kind of segue into what I'd like you to speak about, is...
Well, we also have some more questions.
Okay,
coming.
real quick, is the mentor program. You talked about a lot of things outside of the EMT and the fire service. I know a lot of it, and it was a huge help, was the mentors helped with the physical fitness. And they would meet with some of the cadets that may be struggling with the CPAT, and they would actually meet and work out in the morning and do the stair chair, the Stairmasters and all those things in preparation of being successful with the CPAT. So maybe you could just kind of talk about the PT program and the physical fitness of the academy.
I think we had a question from somebody. Courtney, did somebody write in a question about PT, or were there several?
Actually, Heather Lee would like to know, how can she physically prepare for the academy?
Okay, so it kind of goes into that same question,
Yeah, well, I can talk a little bit about how I personally prepared for the academy. At the time, I was focusing a lot on HIIT workouts, which is high intensity interval training. So it's short bursts of large energy output. And the reason I chose HIIT workouts is because while it gets your cardio up, those really strong outbursts of energy, to me, that's how I felt the work on a fire would be. So you have this really large energy output, but it's not for a very long period of time. And I felt that the HIIT workouts got me in pretty good shape for the academy. I felt really prepared physically, and I passed the CPAT on the first try, so I felt good about that. Of course, that was after 6 months of you guys doing some strength training with us and really working us out on Saturday mornings too, so that definitely helped. In terms of the fire academy specifically, it is more physically demanding in the sense that you're out there on the fire ground for 14 hours a day. So you really do have to get your cardio up. You have to get your endurance up. You have to be able to perform those reps over and over and over again. You're doing it in your turnouts with your bottle on. So what I would recommend overall is a varied fitness program. So you want to be doing your strength training. You want to be doing your cardio. You want to be doing some high intensity stuff. And you should be working out hard 5 times a week. But remember that you need to give yourself time for recovery. And then part of being healthy is your sleep patterns and a healthy diet. And you should be starting those preparatory items right now. If you're trying to get into the Spring Academy in Los Angeles, start working out now. Start eating healthy now. Start getting your sleep now. Because then you'll have those patterns in place for when the academy starts, and you'll be a step ahead of of everybody else.
Exactly. And actually, to remind people that we do have, the Firefighter Candidate Testing Center offers practice and orientations for CPAT. And I think they're very, very valuable to let you know like what level of fitness you have to have just for entry. And like you say, that's just to enter. That's like the minimum requirement to get hired. But then once you get in the fire academy, the real work really begins. So you have to be ready for that. Just as a reminder, the program is coming to a close. So we want to get your questions answered. This is your opportunity to ask everything you wanted to know about the Cal-JAC Academy. So please send in your questions, and I'll go to Courtney to see if she has another one for us.
Yeah, our next question is for Kelsey from Raphael. He would like to know, what was the hardest part of going through this academy? And or what life lessons did you learn by being a part of this program?
That's a great question.
I think the hardest part for me going through the Cal-JAC Academy was the academic rigor of the academy. Like Captain Bruce said, you're reading 1, 2, 3 chapters a week. You're being tested on the material every week. I was working full-time while going through the Cal-JAC Academy, and I'm sure a lot of folks who will go through the Spring Academy will be doing the same. And so staying on top of the course schedule, staying on top of your reading and studying was probably the most challenging part. But to speak to the life lessons that it taught me, time management, dedication, scheduling your days, preparing, even little things like making lists of all of your materials that you have to bring to class every night. So you're not showing up without your uniform or without your boots, or you forgot to shine your boots. Time management is huge, and the Cal-JAC Academy really hammered that home, and it's something that I took with me through the Fire Academy and through probation, that I'll take with me through my whole career. But what I will say is that life gets really busy. The Cal-JAC Academy schedule is really busy, but you have a whole group of people who are going through it with you. And so lean on the support of your cadets, lean on the support of your instructors and your mentors, and no matter how hard it gets, you can do it, you can make it through, and you'll be all the better for it.
That's great advice, great advice. Any other questions, Courtney?
Yeah, our last question is from Bryce Jones. Bryce would like to know, what does a day in the life of an Academy cadet look like?
What is the day in the life of an Academy cadet? Do you remember?
Yeah.
It's ingrained in your brain.
Absolutely. Well, so, and I don't know if the Spring Academy in Los Angeles will be modeled after ours, but what ours look like is so we went to class Tuesday and Thursday evenings from 6 to 9 or 10 in the evening.
And we actually have the same schedules.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the Tuesdays and Thursdays, the evening classes, were when we would be going through PowerPoints, going over the reading material. And it was very classroom-like setting. So you would get your reading done before you come in, and then we would have PowerPoint presentations and or the testing for that week's reading. Saturdays are an all-day class, and we would show up in the morning. We would do an hour of PT in the morning, and then Saturday was our skills day. So it was really fun. We had all of the skills instructors from our local fire departments come in and teach the EMT skills. So you would go through your assessments, your medical skills, your trauma skills, all the things that you need to be a successful EMT in the field. And the fun part about that is that you're making those connections of members in the fire service. You're meeting people who are out online, and you're building those relationships. So when you go on your ride-alongs, or when you do station visits at the department that you want to get hired, maybe there are some friendly faces there that you've seen before, and they've also seen how hard you work in the academy program.
That's great. That's great advice. So as we're wrapping up here, Captain Bruce, any last words of wisdom for our candidates out there looking for a career in the fire service?
Just do it. I know you're probably just overwhelmed right now with all the information that we've thrown at you, and it might seem daunting is the word that I've heard on many occasions, but it is manageable, and you can do it. And if you have the desire and the dedication and you want to become a firefighter, I highly, highly suggest that you look into this upcoming class in the LA area, and if at all possible, do whatever it takes to get into there, because it will pay off. And we're looking at Kelsey right here. Here's one of many. There are other cadets from other, you might be thinking, well, there's 5. There's more than that. We've had a number of cadets that are on hand crews that are right now fighting fires up and down the state of California and even outside the borders. There are so many different avenues that people have ended up, and the great thing about it is they all said the academy has helped make me a better person, whatever career they're involved in. They've taken what they've learned in the academy and they now utilize it in their day-to-day life. So I would just encourage you. I know it might seem a little scary, but it's not, and it will pay off. So just do it. Just do it.
And Kelsey, any final words to give to these candidates out there about their journey to becoming a firefighter? Anything you want to let them know?
What I want to say is the Cal-JAC Academy program is the opportunity of a lifetime. This is a major reason why I feel I got hired as a firefighter. And it is such a clear pathway to the fire service. It gives you everything you need to become a firefighter, and it's free. And along the way, you make friendships and mentorships and relationships that will last you forever. I look back on this process, and it seems like everything happened, like Cal-JAC happened, and then everything else just fell into place for me.
That's great.
And so, like Bruce said, just do it.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. A huge thank you to Captain Bruce, Kelsey, Christopher Michael for sharing your insights with us today. Join us again next month for the Recruitment in the Spotlight, where we'll be featuring our first Southern California Fire Department. So be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok to see who that department is. Be the first to know about job announcements, resources to help you on your path to the fire service by turning on your notifications to becoming a firefighter. Thank you all, and have a great evening.